Their experiences are different. They didn't go through the same struggles that we went through. They came over here when everything was already peachy keen and sweet. They came over here when all of the hard stuff was already done. So we can't really expect them to have the same view that we have. So I wanted to take some time out to address some of the comments that I got on a video that I made in response. Now, keyword here, guys, this was a response video to a very trending, semi-viral video that was going around on TikTok of a Dominican girl who was saying that, Dominicans are not black, and she's just tired of black people trying to force this like blackness on her people and on their culture, and just expressing like, this is just a reminder, Dominicans are not black.
That Dominicans are not black. We are not black. And no matter how much black Americans cry about it, we are not black. We will never be black because I look black, but we are not black.
Okay, and she was just very obviously very irritated, and you can clearly see the irritation and the frustration in her video, which is the reason why it went viral. It was literally just, a response video to that video. There was quite a few comments from people, not necessarily always Dominicans, but I'm assuming that some of these people were also Latin American. I can't really tell from the profile picture, but I'm assuming that, due to a lot of what they were saying and, expressing some of their frustration, I would assume that that's what they were. So before I get into these comments, let me just say this, guys. Whenever I'm addressing something or giving an opinion on something, it's not to be divisive. Everybody has an opinion. I just happen to, enjoy getting online and getting on YouTube and just talking about stuff and calling things as I see it. So if anything that I say may come off as divisive or offensive, then, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I can only give you my thoughts from my angle and from my perspective. So if anybody takes offense to it, that's really their issue, not mine. So my intention is never to be divisive or offensive. But if you choose to take it that way, then that's just on you. Don't really know what to tell you. And I also want to mention too, I am not making this video as a way to backpedal or apologize for anything that I said, because if you go, and I'm going to put the video that I made in my description box if you haven't seen it, if you don't know what I'm talking about. So if you want to go ahead and watch it, you can. But I'm not in no way backpedaling or making this video as like an apology video. I like to clarify. I like people to understand. If I say something, I want you to understand where I'm coming from, why I'm saying it, and what I meant. So there was hundreds of comments, but I'm just going to point out a few. So this comment says, "This is a tiresome issue. Clearly, this woman in the video is young and new to this topic. Black Americans have always projected their values and their identity of Blackness on every other part of the diaspora. It's an American thing. Racial identity, no, I'm sorry, racial first identity is only important here. Everywhere else, people are ethnic and culturally aligned. Then nationality, then maybe racial. Black America likes to speak for everyone else, and it's annoying." Okay, you know what? That could be very much a fair point. We might look at somebody coming over here from another part of the diaspora and think that they're one of us. You know, we see them as black, right? That's just how we see it. Now, to somebody who's not from here, that can be quite annoying because it's like, I'm not, I'm who I am. I'm from where I'm from. I don't identify with your culture, meaning black American culture. I don't identify with you guys. I don't share your identity, your culture. Um, so don't try to bring me and pull me into who you are. And the thing is, you know what? He is right. This is an American thing. It is very much an American thing to sort of project what we see as blackness onto other people who we also see as being black. And they just don't see it that way. When I made the reaction video that I made, some of the things that I said probably did seem a bit culturally insensitive, may have seemed a little bit ignorant, but those are literally just my thoughts. And from an American Black woman's perspective, it's like, what is the big deal? That's people call you black, or because to us, it's not a big deal. It really is not. But to somebody who's not from here, it's a big deal. And I don't even really think that this particular comment was really addressing me personally. I think this guy who commented was just talking in general, generally speaking, about how Black Americans see Blackness and project it onto other nationalities and other people from other parts of the diaspora and kind of try to bring them on as if we're all the same. And then this guy responded to that comment and he said that not to me, but he's talking to another commentator and he says, wow, you're so amazing for writing this in a compassionate manner. My family is from Garifuna, from Honduras. Although we are Black in American terms, we don't really embrace the use of color to describe us. Listening to this random woman speak on this nuanced subject with obvious bias was uncomfortable. Many Black Hispanics find ourselves not meshing well with Black Americans. And I think it's perfectly fine. I live in New York City, surrounded by Black people from every part of the world, and recognizing that your culture is different from others is perfectly fine. One of the things I wanted to point out before I go into some of these other comments is as Black Americans, I think we cannot try to bring other people, other parts of the diaspora who don't understand what it took for us to get to this place in America, for us to be a free people, for us to actually have the infrastructure that we have here. They don't understand the struggles that it actually took to get us here. Okay, to actually get us to where we are today. They don't know any of that. They didn't go through any of that stuff. Their mothers, grandmothers, and all of that had a different type of struggle, whatever they went through in their country, but it was not what we went through over here. So we can't be trying to bring other people onto our struggles over here in America as if they're going to understand what it's like to be one of us. You know, they don't have the same history that we have, okay? And I get that. And I understood that point when I made the video. Okay? But what I do can sympathize with is that we really should not be trying to force this sort of fight the power, this sort of like, we're all one, we're all connected, we're all one. We shouldn't really be trying to force that onto them because they don't see us the same as the same. It's just a whole different cultural identity and they don't really want to be associated with our culture if you want to be just perfectly transparent. Okay, and then this response comment says they, meaning Black Americans, will never get it here in the States because they suffer from such a lack of identity. I'm Black, descendant of slavery, and Puerto Rican. Although colorism in Latin America is a problem and a separate conversation, it doesn't change the way Black America cannot accept other Black people's cultural ethnic identity. It's as if it's threatening to them. Now, see, I don't know about that. I don't know about if it's seen as threatening or I think a lot of Black Americans honestly just don't see the value in it. I really don't like because as Black Americans, we never really came together and created like a sort of unique culture that was kind of unique to ourselves outside of just hip hop culture. We didn't really formulate a culture the way that other people did. So in our eyes, it's just not important. It's like, okay, that cultural stuff is just not important to Black Americans, and we don't see the value in it. We don't see the importance of it. Even talking to some of my closer friends, um, and people that I grew up around, you can really see that culture in itself is like a foreign concept. It's like, who cares? Like, why? Like, that stuff is just not important. So I feel like a lot of us really don't understand why other people feel so strongly about this cultural identity when it's just something to us, it's just not that important. But you know what? I find it very obnoxious because I hear so many people say who come here from other countries and other parts of the world that come here and proclaim that Black Americans don't know who they are, don't know where they came from and have no identity at all. It's really weird when I hear people say stuff like that because you're saying that as if Black Americans are some lost, foreign, orphan-like group of people who are just completely lost in the wilderness and have no idea of anything about themselves. And that could not be further from the truth. Now, what I will say is that we have not formulated a cultural identity in the same way that other groups have, but that doesn't mean that we don't have an identity at all. Like, but to say that they lack identity, and then you'll hear people say that Black people don't know where they came from and they don't know who they are and they're just lost. And they're saying this, and y'all, I see this all the time. Like this is goes beyond just the conversation that we're having right here. I see this on TikTok from Africans. I see this from all over the diaspora or all over the world, really. And people are referring to African Americans as if America isn't a real place at all. They feel like because this is a melting pot of so many different groups from all around the world that came over here as immigrants and migrated here voluntarily, they don't see this as like a real place where people actually naturalized from. So I feel like maybe I don't know if they have a hard time wrapping their head around that Black people know exactly where we came from. We came from here on the soil because we've been here for 400 years. So you can't say that Black people don't know where they came from or they don't know who they are, their identity, because we're from here. This is not America is not la la lollipop land. It's a real place. It's like, no, you came over here from somewhere else. You are an immigrant. You are a migrant. You are a foreigner. We know exactly where we came from. We came from right here. Because if you sit up here and say that Black Americans don't know where they came from, they don't know their identity, that's no different than saying that anybody from the Caribbean doesn't know who they are, or anybody who's from Latin America doesn't know who they are or what they are. That's stupid. Really think about how stupid that is. America is a real place with real people who actually were born here and who were naturalized here from hundreds of years. We've been here for hundreds of years. We are not new here like you are. You're new. We're not. We've been here. And this one says, but why are Black Americans so concerned about their identity so much? Their meaning not meaning they're like us, meaning they're as in Dominicans, I guess. And you know what? Just like I said in the video, I don't really think that Black people really care about other people's identities. Like I don't really think that they really care. I think what it is it's a confusion because it's like they try so hard to say, I'm not Black, I'm not Black, I'm not Black, I'm not Black. It's like, okay. Like, why do you feel so strongly about that? That's where the confusion is. Like, why do you feel so strongly about it when you clearly look like that's what you are? And I'm not saying that to say that all Dominicans look like African Americans because they don't. You know, we have our differences. Like a lot of times, I can tell when somebody is Latino. Like I you can tell a Latino person from a Black person and from America, and you can usually tell. But I mean, I think that what it is because we always hear these stories about how Dominicans, especially, always try to denounce their Blackness and try to say that they're motherland is Europe and they're really not African and blah, 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 blah. We hear these stories all the time. We're not new to this. We hear these stories all the time. So that's the reason why when people they're like, guys, like, look, you're not, you might be part European, but you're not European. But, at the same time, it's like, okay, as American Black people, maybe we should just leave it alone. And I don't know why I cut this comment off, but I think he's referring to um cultural identity and saying that um because it says there's some sort of sinister agenda. So only African Americans seem to have this sensitivity. I repeat, stop placing people's identities to pump up your intellectual vanity. Dominicans are proud of their heritage, just as the vast majority of Latino Americans. But I'm glad your little video is doing well. I love it when people add in those little microaggressive, backhanded compliments, I guess you could say. Once again, we have a comment here that's not wrong, but I think that he took what the things that I said out of context and his responses, because he had more responses than just that, but his responses were really just rooted in pure emotion and it wasn't really based in any real facts or anything. It was just all just purely just emotional, just like an emotional rant. We probably need to be a bit more culturally aware and stop trying to sort of unite with people of other parts of the diaspora because they don't care about any of this, none of this like Black struggle stuff. They don't want anything to do with it. And to be honest, why should they? Because they didn't go through any of the stuff that we went through here in America. These people came over here once all of that stuff was already over. All of the fighting and all of the all of the struggle, civil rights stuff that we went through, that stuff had already came and gone by the time most of these people came over here. And then I just had to throw this part in there that that last guy that the last thing that he wrote to me, and because I said, "Oh my God," because I had responded to him that he must have been triggered by something that I said, and then he responded and he's like, "Yes, triggered. This is the perfect response. I'm not going to argue with an idiot. Ciao." It's like, oh, the shade, the shade. Oh my gosh, I'm an idiot. Yeah. I love those kind of responses. It's just it just is hilarious to me. I love it when people make comments like that. And I don't even honestly, guys, I don't even bother blocking people because I already know that they're saying it because they're emotional. And so they're obviously emotional about something that I said. So, you know, it, feel free to comment whatever you want. I honestly, in my entire time doing this, I think I've only ever had to block one person. I'm open to having a conversation, even if you say, you're stupid, you're an idiot, blah blah blah. Go ahead and say however you feel, because it doesn't. I don't care. Like I'm not gonna stop saying what I'm saying. I'm not gonna stop doing what I'm doing. I'm still gonna say things even if it pisses people off. So what? Say what you gotta say. Feel how you feel. It's a free country. I mean, isn't that why you came here? So, anyways, let me know what you guys think. Make sure if you haven't watched the other video, go ahead and watch it. And I'm pretty sure you'll see that there's really nothing wrong with anything that I said in that video. I'm pretty sure you'll come to that conclusion. But let me know what you guys think. And make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet. And I'll see you guys next time.